Hello everyone, welcome back to the Hindu Explained series. I am Kushagra Goel. Wishing all of you a very Merry Christmas. And also today is the day that is marked in remembrance of our former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee as the Good Governance Day. Okay, so 2 days on the same date. And therefore on that note, let's begin today's video. So with regards to doubts yesterday, a lot of students had concerns about the arbitration case and the retrospective taxation, okay. So that is something that is an ongoing thing. Therefore, it will take a little bit of while. Today, I am going to explain you some certain basics about it, and over the time period of this week, I'll cover different aspects of that dispute for you all, because if I had to explain it in one go, it would take approximately 2 to 3 episodes in itself. Therefore, I'm going to segregate it over time period, okay. Now, apart from that, a lot of other students had certain other doubts. For example, suggestions about climate change and other things. Therefore, or revision videos, all of that we'll start doing from January onwards, okay. Revision is something that is important when it becomes closer to the time period of the examination. Therefore, doing it right now would not be justified, okay. Therefore, we'll start doing all of that from January or a mid-January onwards, okay. And now let's begin with today's newspaper, okay. On the front page, there are certain different updates for you all, okay. A new update, finally the Brexit deal has been signed between Britain and European Union. It is yet to be confirmed. It was announced in the midnight. The documents are above 2000 pages. And nevertheless, it has been a landmark achievement, because after protracted discussions for a year time period, which has seen 3 prime ministers do it, the deal has finally been clinched. Whether it is approved by both the houses, probably it will be, because a no deal Brexit doesn't favor anyone. We'll discuss this in a little bit more depth. There is no update about the farmer protest. No one is bulging from their side. The government has stated that it will only consider logical demands, and the farmers have one demand: repeal the laws, and that is about it, okay. So updates about that is something we'll have to keep in mind whenever they actually happen. And then there is another update from the front page, which is economic revival beating predictions, RBI bulletin. So RBI has released a bulletin that the recovery of Indian economy is beyond what it expected, and there will be probably positive growth in Q3. So that is something we have to keep an eye once the figures are finally announced, okay. Apart from that, on the front page, here you can see 3D printing, okay. 3D printed house structure by L&T. Larsen and Turbo is a construction conglomerate in India, and they have built a 700 square feet building by 3D printing itself, okay. So that is something, the moon bases or construction in space will probably not be by humans but by robots, by 3D printing, okay. So that is something that is on the front page. Then there is apart from that, there is more political news on the front page, so we'll move on, okay. More political news, here you can see in remembrance of our former Prime Minister, there is advertisements by different governments. Apart from that, there is nothing more on the front page on the news. So we'll come to the editorial front, okay. On the main editorial, it is again about farmer protest and related issues, okay. I suggest it is worth reading in general. There is no academic knowledge for us, but there are certain points to highlight, okay. So the author's methodology for this editorial is to point out different perspectives of each side, what are their concerns. So one, he says about how the new farm bills will benefit or provide corporations to move into farming and release farmers to work. But at the same time, what you all need to know is that most of India who is not indulged in farming is already unemployed. 25 to 30% Indians are facing unemployment. So if we remove the farmers from this place, where will we provide employment to them, okay. That is one thing that you have to keep in mind. Second, he points out how Indian farmers are given subsidy in different measures, but if you count it for per farmer perspective, that will still be 48 rupees, $48 per farmer, which is far low than what US or any other developed country. For example, it has given the example of US, which gives 7,000 rupees as subsidies, and including that, developed economies also have a lot of other social structures such as education, health and support system, which India does not have. So therefore, if we remove farmers from their lands or introduce contract farming, okay. So one doubt a lot of students had was about what does it mean by subcontract or subcontracting. So for example, you want a house to be created, right? So you will contact a construction company and they will be like, okay, we will construct. So you have given the primary contract. Then that company hires another subcontractor or a person who will actually do the work. That person is known as a subcontractor, okay. So that is what subcontracting means. In contract farming, the simple method is the company will contract with the farmers and tell them that, see, this is the kind of produce we want, and at the end of the year we will give you this much price. When we had discussed the farm bills, we had also realized that they provide protections in up to the limit that, one, the company cannot purchase the land itself or use it as a methodology, plus price has to be fixed before that hand. But the editorial highlights for us that, see, the experience of farmers with contract farming has been that contractors then either reduce the prices or they do not provide or purchase the amount they had promised, and the concerns that we had discussed with farm laws, that there is no recourse to judicial methodology, that is also existent. So that is from the side of the farmers. From the government side, it does need to reduce or introduce privatization. So that is one concern it has pointed out. Another is that there is high dependent on groundwater, which is reducing the water table in Punjab and Haryana. So that is another concern that the government is facing. So it is for both the sides to reconcile. It is an editorial worth reading for you all because we have discussed the farmer protest and different perspectives of that. So therefore, it is something that is updating your knowledge about it, okay, different perspectives. On the left hand side, it is about learning to let go. This is something I will discuss in an in-depth analysis, okay. The second is provocation trap. Again, Iran, US diplomacy concerns, how Iran should not fall into provocation trap of the US and wait till the Biden administration come in and rekindle diplomatic ties, okay. So this is in light of some rocket attacks that took place on the US embassy in Baghdad by terrorist groups. It is alleged that those terrorist groups are supported by Iran, okay. So therefore, in light of that, the editorial here is MGR's mojo, time tested and enduring. This is with regards to former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, MG Ramachandran, okay. He was the founder of the All India DMK party, okay. On the op-ed page, there is our children being introduced to coding at an earlier age. So this is in light of the new education policy, which states coding can be taught to children from 6th class onward. So this is a discussion whether that is something that is being done earlier. Children lack the perspective. The idea of app creation is to solve real life problems and not just create machine or workers for future, okay. So therefore, in light of that, it is an academic discussion. You all can give it a read if you want to, okay. Then on the left hand side, tackling an existential crisis, the informal alliance with the Bharatiya Janata Party will suit Janata Dal Secular Party in Karnataka, which had the former Prime Minister H.D. Devgowda, which is being seen an apparent decline, okay. So this is an analysis of JDS is suffering for an existential crisis and therefore is getting closer to the Bharatiya Janata Party, okay. So on the editorial front, there are two, one of them I discussed and the other I will discuss in depth, okay. So now on the national news, again, there is not much for us here apart from one news, which is regarding the Viswa Bharti University, okay. A parliamentary panel had stated that of giving Olympic teams to receive priority vaccination, okay. So another parliamentary committee has suggested that athletes who are preparing for Olympics, which has been postponed to 2021 in Tokyo, should be given vaccination in priority and provided biobubbles for them to train, okay. Then there is this news on the left hand side about Viswa Bharti University established by Rabindranath Tagore in 1901. Okay, yesterday on 23rd onwards they began their centenary celebrations for 100 years of establishment of the university. We will talk about that in a little bit more depth. Okay, then apart from that there is not much news on the national front. On the international front, again about Brexit, we will be discussing this. On a small here you can read about Trump pardons more allies, White House. Okay, so Donald Trump, the current president of United States, has been on a spree pardoning his family members, pardoning people who are closer to his family with regards to federal crimes. There the president has the power to pardon. Okay, so once all of this is more concrete about things that have happened under him in the 1 month, it matters to discuss them in short rather than in such length on a daily basis. Okay, on the left hand side also there is a small news, which is China steps up pressure on Alibaba with probe. Okay, Alibaba is a business group headed by Jack Ma, an entrepreneur in China. He had been countering the Communist Party of China, and therefore the party has now started to exert pressure on his company, start investigation, trying to reduce his power and influence in the Chinese economy. Okay, he had also questioned China's policy on Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang province, and that is where the entire conflict has started brewing. Okay, also on the left hand side there is a news analysis of Xi Jinping and how tackling of virus, muscular approach and economic recovery have helped mute critics. Xi Jinping tightens grip in China. So this is Xi Jinping's Communist Party of China now, and he is their authoritarian dictator in disguise, and this is what it dominates, how he has been posturing a more muscular China, trying to dominate United States, has controlled the coronavirus through heavy lockdowns and all of that. Okay. On the economic front, there is nothing more apart from the RBI bulletin that I talked about on the front page. Okay. And then on the sporting front, there is one update. So the Indian Premier League, which is the premier cricketing competition, will now from 2022 start having 10 teams instead of 8. Okay. So that is a thing that the BCCI has agreed. One thing that the BCCI did not talk about was about president of the BCCI having business deals with rival sponsors of BCCI. So as you know, former cricketing captain Sourav Ganguly, you all must have seen him in different advertisements. So it is seen whether this is a conflict of interest or not. So that is something that is pending and not done. The headline given is golden silence. As expected, ADM didn't touch upon President Sourav Ganguly's alleged unethical conduct of endorsing products that are direct competitors of the BCCI sponsors. So this is something of an issue of conflict of interest. Whether that will be discussed finally, what is decided is something to be kept in mind. Okay, the Boxing Day test between India and Australia will begin tomorrow, and that is the update from sporting front. Okay, now on the in-depth side, the first news that we will be talking about is the Viswa Bharti University. Viswa Bharti University, as translated as Communion of the World with India. Okay, Rabindranath Tagore, Nobel laureate for English literature, was someone who believed in open education. He believed that not classroom education but general open education is something that gives a student a better learning experience in general, and for that he had established this school. Okay, so the origin of Viswa Bharti University began as old as from the time of his father Rabindranath Tagore, 1863. Okay, and then in 1901 he started his first class with 5 students, which was known as Brahmacharyasana. Okay, in 1901 at Shanti Niketan. Okay, then it was established as a college in 23 December 1921. Okay, he was the first principal, Rabindranath Tagore. Then in 1951, after India gained independence, the university was converted into a central university. Okay, and the first vice chancellor of the Shanti Niketan or Viswa Bharti University was Ratindranath Tagore. Okay, the eldest child of Rabindranath Tagore. And the chancellor of Viswa Bharti University is always the Prime Minister of India. So whosoever is the incumbent Prime Minister of India is the chancellor, who is considered the de facto head. Okay, the de jure head, and the real day-to-day functioning of the university is conducted by the vice chancellor. Okay. Now, the idea of Viswa Bharti University was to have open education where it is not described by one specific syllabus, but the university is free to pursue whatever its students want to pursue in general. Okay. So, that is what the vision of Rabindranath Tagore was. Prime Minister Modi was talking about it and how it influenced so many that entire time period, influenced freedom fighters, inculcated the idea of education, and also he made a statement of how this movement of Viswa Bharati University was also borrowed from the Bhakti movement of the medieval India time period, okay, from Mirabai, Guru Nanak, Kabir, Surdas, Tulsidas. So, that is the Bhakti movement, and how the university is also an essence of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So, in general, as you know, Prime Minister Modi is also a politician, so he also highlighted different aspects of his government's policy and how they are aligned with the Viswa Bharati University, such as the International Solar Alliance, self-reliance, and linking it with the Bhakti movement. Okay. So, these are certain facts about the university that you need to know. I am sure I do not have to point out about facts of Rabindranath Tagore. As Indians, all of us should generally know about him. He is also given the upadhi of Guru Dev. Okay. That is how he was known as a visionary in his own right. Okay. So, this is about the Viswa Bharati University. The second thing is the editorial. Okay. So, the cases that are now in news, the arbitration cases, were decided by the Permanent Court of Arbitration established at The Hague in the Netherlands. Okay. Now, what are these two cases about? Both the Vodafone Incorporation case and the Cairn Energy. So, the editorial talks about how yesterday there was news of India losing the Cairn arbitration, and today was the news of India appealing about the arbitration decision in a Singapore Court of Arbitration. Okay. So, now that will go on. The editorial tells how the government should get some learning to let go, that it should realize that it committed a mistake. What is this mistake? Of initiating retrospective taxations. So, what had happened was, there was a deal for Vodafone Incorporation dating back in 2007-2008. Okay. From 2005 to 2008, that was a long time period. Okay. That time a different tax law existed. The tax authorities of India during the UPA years stated that no, this transaction cannot go tax free. What was this transaction about? Was about capital gains. Capital gains are those gains that a person makes. So, for example, you purchase share of Reliance, shares of SBI, okay, and you purchase them, let's say, of 500 rupees. After 10 years time period, you sold them for 1000. So, you have made a profit of 500 rupees, right, over time period. So, that is your gain. Now, on that gain, the government imposes certain taxation, that is 15 to 20% in general. Now, this was about this case, that the tax department thought that no, it owed capital gain tax to Vodafone, owed government of India this tax, and it approached the Supreme Court. The case went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said no, you cannot impose taxes. Because the government lost the case, in 2012, former Finance Minister and President Pranab Mukherjee introduced a new law that imposed retrospective taxation, through which Vodafone had to pay these taxes. The Vodafone went to the Permanent Court of Arbitration, and there the court said that no, you cannot impose retrospective taxation. Okay. So, this was about a bilateral investment treaty that existed, not about retrospective taxation. All of this is really complex. As of now, all you need to know about the case, what is it about? So, who decided these two cases? What it relates to? It relates to retrospective taxation. The editorial tells that the government should realize retrospective taxation is something that curbs foreign investment. Foreign investment is something that brings forex reserves. What are forex reserves? Forex reserves is foreign currency of other countries that India possesses. Okay. So, if India imposes retrospective taxation, that reduces policy stability. That means that a investor is never sure of the policies in a particular country, which harms business sentiment. India as a developing economy should have stable policies, and retrospective taxations go against that spirit, and therefore India should now realize its mistake and let go of the retrospective taxations. Okay, so that is one. Now arbitration is a form of dispute resolution. Okay, in arbitration the parties decide that if they cannot amicably decide upon a dispute, they will appoint an arbitrator. Usually arbitrators are 3 panel. One arbitrator is appointed by one part, nominated by one party, which was Government of India. Another arbitrator is appointed by the other party, in this case Vodafone and Cairn Energy, different cases, and they also appoint one arbitrator. Okay, so there are 3 arbitrators. In both the cases there was unanimous decision that India could not impose taxes. Okay, so as of now all of this is what you need to know. Arbitration is out of court dispute resolution. Okay, it is considered out of court because parties amicably try to solve it rather than approaching a court. Okay, the case relates to retrospective taxation imposed in 2012. Both the cases India has lost. For Vodafone, India has decided to appeal. For Cairn Energy, we will have to wait what the government decides. The editorial urges the government not to initiate these cases, let go of this money and introduce or remove retrospective taxations and have stable policy. Over time, every day I will try to explain you these deals a little bit. Not everything of this is for your bit. Okay, these are complex issues which are taught at law schools. Okay, it is something that will become important, something that you will learn more and more when you enter national law universities or law schools in general. Therefore, but from a general point of view, I will still give you overview in a very simplified form. Okay, things I have stated even now are also very simplified. Okay, even if you have more doubts about this that you want me to cover, put it in the comment section. I will be very happy to address them. Okay, the last bit of news for today is the Brexit deal. Okay, so a little bit of history of European Union is also important. When did it begin? There are 2 treaties that become important for it. First is the Treaty of Rome, signed in 1956, which formed the European Economic Council. There were 6 countries for it: Belgium, Netherlands, France, Italy, West Germany and Luxembourg. Okay, note down these names: Belgium, Netherlands, Italy, Luxembourg, West Germany and France. Okay, so these were the original 6 countries. Today European Union is of 27 members. Okay, then when it was expanded, the treaty was Maastricht Treaty in 1992. Okay, which formed the European community that we know as European Union today. Okay, the format of European Parliament and different forms of how rules are governed, that was European Committee or European Union. Okay, Britain joined the European Union on January 1, 1973 under the Treaty of Rome conditions. Okay, and then decided to exit it through a referendum. All the people of Britain voted for it in a yes or no. Should we remain in EU? People said no, and by 50.6% of vote, it was decided that they will exit the European Union. Okay, so after 73 years of togetherness, they have decided to step away from each other. Okay, not 73, sorry, 57 or something. Okay. Now a little bit of what is European Union in general. European Union is a common market, is a format where is a common place. So for example, in SAARC or ASEAN, there are different countries within it. European Union is a trade bloc in general, the largest trade bloc of the world with one of the highest per capita income. Okay, so European Union is a common market. There is one common currency also that 19 countries follow. The area is borderless. People of different countries are known as European citizens. They can travel from one country to another. So for example, from India to Pakistan or India to Nepal or India to Sri Lanka, we need visas, right, to travel. But when you are traveling from France to Germany, Germany to Italy, Italy to Italy to Luxembourg, Luxembourg to Belgium, Belgium to Netherlands. You don't need any separate visa. You need one visa, which is known as the Schengen visa. Also, all these countries have same amount of trade duty, okay? So you don't import or export from different countries of European Union, you import from one trading bloc. What this does is it eases the amount of business, introduces policy stability, that for such a huge market you have same amount of policy, and that is the benefit. Now Britain has decided to exit it. When more details about the Brexit deal will be out, we'll discuss what it implies. As of now, a little bit of history of European Union and what it is about is only relevant for you all. If you have any doubts about this, put it in the comment section. I will address them over the week. And with this, we are done for the day. Again, wishing you all a very, very Merry Christmas. Do celebrate the holiday, but don't forget to revise and be consistent with your preparation, because the real celebration is when you finally do well in the CLAT examination, which introduces you to the wonderful colleges of national law universities. Okay, so with that, thank you so much. If you like the work that we are doing, do give the video a thumbs up. If you have any doubts, again highlighting that, put it in the comment section and I will address all of them. Okay, with this, thank you so much and done for the day.